And welcome back. So next up, we're going to talk a little bit about database security features. And so this module is a very brief, high-level overview of some security features. And so in regards to databases and security, there's really kind of three different areas that are going to be encompassed. And that is prevention of unauthorized access to the database, the safe distribution of information, and the physical security of the database and everything included with that, hardware, software, and the data. So let's talk a little bit about access. And when I say that, I don't mean the program access, I mean authorization, having someone or giving someone access to information. So Access, the program, that's confusing, huh? Microsoft Access does not provide user level security. So what we mean by that is that you cannot grant someone permissions just based off their user level. But what you can do is create a password for the database, which will prevent unauthorized access to anyone who does not have the database password. And so by doing that, you're preventing unauthorized access to the entire database, but by doing that, you are also encrypting all of the information, which is a very good security practice as well. So there are ways to kind of manage authorization access to specific accounts that's not necessarily built into Access, but just built into SQL in general, and that's through specific SQL statements. And so let's take a look at what I mean. All right, so I have my database here, still just using the JC Consulting, for example. So if I create an SQL statement, we have the action of grant, and this is going to grant privileges to an account. So for example, I can say grant select on employees, there we go, to me, right? And so what we're doing is we're granting access to select statements on the table of employees, and we're granting that to the account of, in this case, me, right? This is not a real account. When I run this, it's just going to give me an error saying that that's not a valid account name. I don't have any accounts set up on here, so that's why it's not going to run. And I'm certainly not going to do it on my account, because then I won't be able to access anything. So that would be a bad day. But that's what it would look like. Very simple. Just a simple grant statement saying grant whatever you want to whoever you want on whichever table you want, right? So, grant select, you could do grant insert if you want someone to be able to add new records, right? Same format. And so if there ever comes a time where you need to take away those privileges, take away that access to an employee if they leave the company or whatever, and instead of grant, we just simply change it to revoke, and that's pretty much it. Change to from, get the right verbs, right? Verb, not a verb. Right. Preposition, right? That's the right word for words like to and from and after and things like that. Yeah, we'll go with that. All right. And then, as we mentioned, you can set a password on the database, which will not only prevent unauthorized access to it, but it will also encrypt it. So the way that we do that is we're actually going to have to close our database and then we're going to need to open it up exclusively. And so the way that we do that is we come up to File, Open. We have our database there. We don't want to open it that way. We want to go to Browse, select the database that we want, and then over here underneath Open, there's a drop-down menu. And what we need to select is Open Exclusive. So once we do that, we're going to come back up under File, and everything seems to look the same. But if we go underneath the Info section, now we're going to have an option to encrypt with password. And so you'll see that if you have the database open regularly, you'll see encrypt with password, but if you try to select it, it's going to tell you that you need to open exclusive in order to set the password on there. So that's how we do that. I'm not actually going to do it, but I wanted to show you guys how that's actually done. So, all right, so that wraps up this segment on some basic security features. I hope this was useful to you guys, and we'll see you next time.